Good morning and welcome to our Eitaikyo Service. This service is a memorial service and an opportunity to thank the spiritual friends, teachers, and others who departed before us and contributed for us to receive this teaching of Amida Buddha, the Dharma. My name is Annette Tashiro and I'll be your MC. We'll begin with the ringing of the temple bell, or Kansho, that signifies the beginning of the temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat. We'll now have offerings of flower and light by our younger members. If you're able, please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and English, and you can find it in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 7. Please be seated. We'll now go into the Sambujo by Reverend Kalu, and if you'd like to follow along, you can find it on page 9 of the red Jodo Shinshu service book. Then our today's sutra is Junirai, and this is a hymn written by the Nagarjuna of India, one of the 7 masters of the Pure Land tradition, a central figure of the Mahayana school of Buddhism, of which the Pure Land sect of Hongwanji is part of. This sutra expresses our commitment to Buddha and the land of peace where everyone attains Buddhahood. And that will be found on page 59.
Ra on the special day of remembrance, Eitaikyo, the perpetual recitation of the sutras, to pay tribute to those who have preceded us to the realm of eternal peace and tranquility, the pure land of Amida Buddha. The perpetual chanting of the sutra is not meant to assure our departed loved ones of rebirth in the realm of the Buddhas, but rather to enable us to continue to listen to the wonderful Buddha Dharma and pass it on to the next generations to come. For as long as there are those who need the teachings, the Dharma is transmitted continuously through this Eitaikyo service. We dedicate ourselves to fully understand and apply the Dharma in our daily lives and pass on the teachings for future generations. In deep gratitude and remembrance of our loved ones, we recite the Buddha's sacred name. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo No.
Shobushi Engenjin
가토 야규녀 스이가츠데 요로 이슈세법 무묘지 오가 초라 미다섬 이선부 세즈무 아그묘 야금은 연이 아그도프 신인 시시 여희성 오가 초라 미다선 이선무료 오뱅교 무쇼시 아그지식이 오조흐다이 시보다이 오가 초라 미라섬 야세트 히섭 의덕지 슈센무헨 녀파이스 쇼약생검 쇼조사 에페시
If you're able, please rise for the recitation of our pledge in the WBT Supplemental Service Book, the Purple Book, on page 44. Our pledge. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, like the Buddha who always calls out with aloha, breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance. I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha, whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha who promises to embrace us all. Nam Myoho. Please remain standing. We will be singing Arigatai in our same, the purple book on page 15. Please be seated. I would now like to call Reverend Kalu to introduce our guest speaker.
I need to lose weight. Good morning, everyone, and it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce our guest speaker today on this special service day. It's called Eitaikyo. Reverend Blayne Nakasone Sakata, he has a long name, was born and grew up in Honolulu, Hawaii, and he made history, actually. He was the first student who graduated from PBA who went on to become a minister. Whoa! A great honor, yeah? And before that, he had his BA degree in philosophy and Japanese studies from the University of Hawaii in Hilo. After that, he went to Japan and attended the Chuo Bukyo Gakuin and completed his schooling there in 2021. He followed that up with a master's degree study in Shin Buddhism from Yukoko University. After becoming a fully pledged Kaikyoshi minister in 2023, Reverend Blayne Nakasone Sakata was assigned to the Honpa Hongwanji mission of Hawaii, Betsuin. And since August 2024, he was transferred to the Hilo Hongwanji Betsuin. Reverend Nakasone has a lot of talents and hobbies. He enjoys perpetuating Okinawan culture through sanshin, koto, and traditional dance, and kumiudui. I don't know how to pronounce that. He has been playing the taiko, Japanese drum, also for 14 years and continues to be a member of the Ryugen Taiko based out of Wahiawa. he joins that group there whenever he comes to Oahu. So I believe he did that today, or maybe the day before yesterday. So without further ado, let me introduce Reverend Blayne Nakasone Sakata. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let us begin by putting our hands together in Kansho. Such is the benevolence of Amida's great compassion that we must strive to return it, even to the breaking of our bodies. Such is the benevolence of the masters and true teachers that we must endeavor to repay it, even to our bones becoming dust. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman Nam Naman. Wow, good morning, Windward Buddhist Temple, Sangha, Dharma friends, and fellow Nembutsu travelers. Through various causes and conditions of Amida Buddha's great embrace, I would like to start by thanking Reverend Soul Kalu and all of you for this precious opportunity to collectively rejoice in the teachings of Namo Amida Butsu, of Amida Buddha. And I guess I should say I'm nervous. I don't know why. But today we are gathered to celebrate Eitaikyo, right? And as Kalu Sensei mentioned, it is the perpetual recitation of the sutra. But so I guess I don't have to talk anymore because he just said what we're here for, right? So I'm off the hook. But I guess if we look at the definition of Eitaikyo, right, it's written in 3 kanji characters, 3 Chinese characters. And can anybody tell me what more of a literal translation of Eitaikyo is? Eitaikyo. Let's see if this thing works. Wow, okay. Eitaikyo, Reverend Blayne Nakasone Sakata, that's me. Oh, and then this, to go back just a little bit, our opening quote was written by Shinran Shonin, and we often say it in Japanese as Ondoku-san. So if we look at Eitaikyo, right, there's 3 characters on the left-hand side. A in Japanese comes from the word Eitai, Eiyang, pardon me, or Nagai. A lot of us maybe know the word Nagai, right? Long, something long. But Eiyang means eternity or perpetuation or permanence. And Tai it comes from the Japanese word jidai. Jidai refers to a period of time, or also jiki, which again also means sort of like time. And the last character in the bottom is kyo, right? We have Amida Kyo, we have Busitsu, Muryo Jukyo, Kammuryo Jukyo. Does these sound words familiar to you? Oh. I should test you guys, no? So, Kyo, or in Japanese we say Okyo, which means the sutra in Pali, and the sutra is the oshie, the teachings that was given to us by Shakyamuni Buddha, right? The historical Buddha, many, many years ago, over 2,500 years ago, when he was in ancient India, Nepal. All the teachings that he verbally shared is written down, and it becomes what we know as Okyo, or Kyo, or Sutra, right? So, altogether, a rough translation, as Kalu Sensei said, it was the perpetual recitation of the teachings, but I've translated it as the perpetuation of the teachings throughout time, right? Because this is we're talking about the physical teachings that was given to us, right? After Shakyamuni Buddha passed away, years later, people decided to write it down, and those teachings, those physical teachings, are what we continue to chant today, right? So, being today, Junirai, right? And But in Japanese, when we talk about Eitaikyo, wait, sorry, I'm distracted by this phone. Is this live? Oh, okay. You know, I gotta look into it every so often. Sometimes, I'll give you a brief story. Sometimes, you know, now that I'm at Hilo Betsuin, I talk at Hilo Betsuin or temples in the Hamakuo coast, like Papaiko Hongwanji, Honomu Hongwanji. Papaiko Hongwanji and the Hilo Hongwanji has Zoom, right? And when my mom sees that I'm talking, she'll zoom in. And she won't tell me she's zooming in. So later on, I'll get a text saying, oh, I seen that you messed up. So I have to just double check that if this is recording or not. So I know my mom's not watching today. And anyway, going back, so in Japanese, when we talk about Eitaikyo, Eitaikyo is just one part, right? Eitaikyo Service, in Japanese, we would call Eitaikyo Hoyo. But Eitaikyo is can be understood in two words. The first word in Japanese is Eitaikyo Konshi, and the left-hand side is the kanji for that. And Eitaikyo Konshi is referring to the space or the temple, right? That there is a need for a place to listen to the teachings, that this is where it is passed down from generation to generation. And this moment together to come to the temple, to listen to the teachings, is the act of Eitaikyo Konshi. And the other part of Eitaikyo is Eitaikyo Hoyo, as I mentioned, and this is the observance, so this gathering here today, right? That no matter how many temples there are, if there is nobody to come to the temple to listen to the teachings, right? There is no way that we can perpetuate such teachings. There is no way that we can pass it on to the next generation. So it is the people who gather to listen and to have a common joy and appreciation for the teachings that we are able to encounter the Nembutsu and able to find that same joy, right? So Eitaikyo Hoyo is you, all of you coming here today, all of you coming, you know, taking the time out of your busy day to come to the temple to listen to the teachings of Amida Buddha, right? So this temple, Windward Buddhist Temple, as I learned this morning from Mr. Kukino, that this is a 12-year history, right? Just this building itself. So this temple is providing us with Eitaikyo Konshi, the ability to hear the teachings, and this act that we're doing in this very moment to gather together is Eitaikyo Hoyo, right? And in this time of observing this continued perpetuation of the teachings, I can't help but to think all the moments in our Jodo Shinshu history, right? Recently, we celebrated the 800th memorial of the establishment of Jodo Shinshu, the 850th year of Shinran Shonin's birth, and 135 years of history here in Hawaii, right? The Jodo Shinshu teachings. So I can't help but think about all those things that happened in our history, that yet we are still able to encounter these teachings, that yet we are still able to hear the teachings of Namo Amida Butsu, right? But more importantly than all the other things that our forefathers have overcome is how much Shinjin, right? How many of us know what Shinjin is or have heard the word of Shinjin, right? So few of us, right? But Shinjin is a very Jodo Shinshu-esque word, but translated, sometimes people use the word faith. I like to use the word entrusting heart. But this Shinjin, or entrusting heart, is what many people who have come before us, through Shinjin is what people have used to overcome hardships, overcome crises and disasters, right? Both man-made and nature. But in overcome crises, disasters, and hardships, it is the joy of the Nembutsu that brings people's lives, that it brings to people's lives, that they are able to find the power in themselves to continue to share the teachings, to provide a place to be able to hear the teachings of the Nembutsu. So, let me ask you all, have you ever thought or recognized, what about the Nembutsu teachings? What about saying the name Namo Amida Butsu? Are you guys grateful for? What makes you appreciative? What drives you in your everyday lives? Right? And whatever you guys thought about or think about, what kind of joy does it bring to you? And that joy that you have for the teachings, have you shared that with others? Right? And in this room right here, everybody take a look at the walls surrounding us right now. In this room, there is something that I'm going to talk about next, which it is the physical manifestation of the teachings, of realizing the joy that we have in the teachings and sharing it with others. Can anybody take a guess? There are no wrong answers, is what I like to say, but there is obviously a wrong answer. Oh, okay, I seen Joy-san. So, hi. Where does it say that? Oh, okay. So everybody look to your left-hand side. To your left-hand side. It does not say Namo Amida Butsu, but it does say, underneath, it says Jishin Kyo Ninshin, right? Now, Jishin Kyo Ninshin, how it's written here is backwards, right? In Japanese, we read it from right to left. So, we read Jishin Kyo Ninshin. But, Jishin is realizing, is your personal realization and entrusting heart in the kyo, right? In the teachings. And because of that, because of the joy that we have found in the teachings, we ninshin. We want others to realize that same heart, that same entrusting heart, right? And it is because of this act that we are all here and that we have been able to come to listen and find joys in the teachings. It is this act of receiving an entrusting heart and then passing it on to others that is a very important aspect. It is the personal aspect of Jodo Shinshu. And while the interactions that we have with others is important, right, so that they are able to realize Amida's compassion, it is also important to have a place where we are all able to hear the teachings from those who have studied, right? Like in our opening quote, from our masters and our teachers, right? Thus, the temple becomes a vital part for the kyo, that middle character. For in this term, in kyo, right, this is done here at the temple. And as a minister, I'm not sure in Kalu Sensei's many years of service to Hawaii Kyodan, but many years. But in my short time of being a minister and even before that, I've heard a lot of different things, a lot of different interpretations and a lot of different understandings of the teachings of Namo Amida Butsu. And one of that is sort of in a sense, I think, a controversial topic of coming to the temple, right? The necessity of a temple. Because maybe you guys have heard that Amida Buddha is always with us, right? That Amida Buddha, Namo Amida Butsu is in our hearts, and that the temple is wherever you are, right? You take what this temple is, what it represents, wherever you go outside of these doors. Right? And that you do not need to be here to experience the compassion and wisdom of Amida Buddha. right? And you do not need to be here to put your hands together in Gassho to say the name Namo Amida Butsu, right? That's freely. You can do that anywhere outside of here. And I hope you guys do, not just here, you know. I hope every time you're out, when you see, you know, somebody cuts me off, I say, Namo Amida Butsu. No. But you know, saying the name Namo Amida Butsu, that's freely. You don't have to be here, come to temple to say Namo Amida Butsu, right? But, you know, while this is all true, that you don't need to come here to say Namo Amida Butsu, and you do not need to come here to experience, to realize Amida Buddha's compassion, and you don't need to come here to be embraced by Amida Buddha. But what you do need is to come here to listen to the teachings, right? That you need to come to listen to the teachings of the Buddha for people like Kalu Sensei and myself, right, who have taken the time to intently, maybe, study the teachings, right? So it becomes our responsibility to you all, with our understanding of the teachings, to share it in a proper manner. Right? And it requires all of you to trust that we have studied so diligently that we're guiding you on the right path, right? On this narrow Nembutsu path. And before becoming a minister, right, I attended Friday temple services at Pacific Buddhist Academy, which is at Hawaii Betsuin at that time. You know, and I was listening. I was listening to the Dharma talks that was given, you know. If you ask me what was said during that time, I don't remember a single word. And, you know, that was high school, so I would say we don't have good listening skills as high schoolers. But besides PBA, right around 2012 is when I started attending Waipahu Hongwanji. And during that time, the resident minister was Reverend J. Okamoto. Who is no longer a part of our Kyodang anymore. But, you know, again, I was a high schooler, so not much was coming in here. But it was through his actions, right, that I was able to experience Namo Amida Butsu. You know, so I was like you guys, coming to the temple on a Sunday, listening to the ministers. Hopefully you guys are retaining more than I did. But all of that, you know, which had impacted me, all of those experiences led me to, you know, continuing to go to temple even when I was in university. This is a picture of Puna Hongwanji. I was a former member of Puna Hongwanji. As mentioned, that I went to UH Hilo. So during those 4 years, I was an active member at Puna Hongwanji. And so during all of that, right, it really made me feel this sense of entrusting in the name Namo Amida Butsu, had this joy of the name Namo Amida Butsu, which then I went on to go to Japan and become a minister. And as mentioned, I attended Chuo Bukkyo Gakuin. This is my seminary school in Japan. And in the first year of this school, you learn Buddhism and Jodo Shinshu on a very broad basis, very like an introductory level. And then the second year of the school, you learn all of those same things, but more at a deeper level, right? But just in my first year with taking classes on Buddhism and Jodo Shinshu, I was very surprised. I was actually shocked about what I was hearing. Right? Every day at this school, I was a dorm student, so we had 5 services a day. And about each of one of those, I would hear a Dharma talk. So, you know, all the Dharma talks that I was listening to on a daily basis and all the classes that I was taking, it was nothing that I've heard before here in Hawaii. But, you know, since everything was in Japanese, I thought maybe I was misunderstanding something, that maybe I wasn't really picking up on the nuances of Japanese. So I decided before, you know, I say that this is wrong or whatever, I thought that I would continue to listen and question. And so I really tried to comprehend what was being said. And that the more I took classes, the more I listened to the teachings, the more that I came to think to myself, I don't think I know what Jodo Shinshu is. And I also thought, maybe I'm not a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, And all those thoughts, I wanted to learn more, continue to listen more, to try to understand. And I'm lucky that at this school, Chuo Bukkyo Gakuen, there's a lot of great scholars and teachers that I asked a lot of questions to. At school and at my dorm, I would always ask them questions. I would even ask my head of school questions. I would say, "Oh, sensei, what does this mean?" And then he would say, "Oh, I will get back to you." and when I'm having my break, right, all of a sudden, bing bong over the PA system. Nakasone-san, come to the office, front to the office, mae okoshi kudasai. Oh, shucks, I busted. But my teacher, he had prepared a written in English for me. He would take the time to write out an English explanation, give me the sources of what he's saying, and he would pass that off. But every time I was scared that I was in trouble, but. But, it is through listening that I was able to have this renewed sense of entrusting in Amida Buddha. And that feeling that I had before in the Nembutsu changed. That I realized the joy and appreciation side of saying the name Namo Amida Butsu. And with this new profound shinjin, right, entrusting heart, it became my fuel to study more, to want to study more, which led me to going to Ryokoku University. This is my campus, Ryokoku University Fukakusa. So this is right next to our head temple, our mother temple in Kyoto. And it is here at Ryokoku University that I was able to really dive deeply into the teachings of Shinran Shonin and to analyze his work. And because I was able to do this with great professors and classmates, the more my shinjin grew, the more my interesting heart in Amida Buddha grew. And the more joy, importantly, the joy that I found in the teachings. Right, with all that I've learned and come to study, and all that I've gained from listening, right, and trusting teachers, I've been so moved that I can only say Namo Amida Butsu. And because of everything I've learned and heard, I wanted to share how I understand. Wow, it's pouring rain. Is this normal? Oh. Okay. It's like I'm in Hilo, no? Wow, okay, it's a downpour. So I'll keep you guys longer, right? That means you guys cannot go out in the rain. But with this joy, as I reflect on how I understood Jodo Shinshu before going to Japan, and how I understood Jodo Shinshu after studying, right? I wanted to be sure that everything that I've studied, I would study as much as I can in order to come back to Hawaii to share the true teachings of Shinran Shonin, so that all of you, right, to all the people in Hawaii, are able to come to truly understand and realize the great working of Amida Buddha in our daily lives. And in order to do this, a temple is necessary. Right? It provides us a space to listen, to learn, and to grow together. And that all of you, each and every one of you, are important. That I cannot share the joys that I have of the Nembutsu to myself, right? I guess I could stand in a mirror and do it, but that's not Jishin Kyonin-shin. So just in my life's journey alone, this heart of shinjin, of joy, that I have come to realize, right? It is an example of what we individually all go through. That maybe there are times of doubt, maybe there are times of misunderstanding. But all that we may come to find is that in the end, we are embraced by Amida Buddha's compassion. We are in boundless wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. In the name Namo Amida Namo Amida Butsu, that provides us this moment, this current moment, to be able to rejoice in the name. And as today's opening quote reads, such is the benevolence of Amita's great compassion that we must strive to return it, even to the breaking of our bodies. Such is the benevolence of the masters and true teachers that we must endeavor to repay it, even to our bones becoming dust. With teachers as our guide to understanding the true heart of Amida, of reciting the name Namo Amida Butsu, may the joy that the teachings bring us to our daily lives, to our everyday moment to moment, let us strive to repay that debt, that sense of gratitude, by sharing the joys to those around us, to those who have not yet come to hear the teachings of Namo Amida Butsu. And with that, this Eitaikyo Konshi, that you all gathering here today to observe Eitaikyo Hoyo, this service of the continual perpetuation of the teachings, right? That all of you become important. Let us all awaken to the great compassion of Amida Buddha, so that we too may become a part of the fabric of time of those who have passed on the teachings from generation to generation. And may we work together to share the joy of Namo Amida Butsu. And so in closing, I would like to thank you all for taking the time to come to the temple and sharing this moment with me in this beautiful Windward Temple, and sharing this precious moment of rejoicing in the name Namo Amida Butsu. And so let us conclude by putting our hands together in Gassho as we recite the name Namo Amida Butsu in the heart of gratitude. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida, Namo Amida, Namo Amida, Namo Amida. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Nakasone Sakata. If you're able, please rise for the Gatha Flying Free, which is in the Windward Buddhist Temple Supplemental Service Purple Book on page 59. And please remain standing for the Nembutsu.
Stand by the sea.
be kind, be thoughtful, be genuine, but most of all, be thankful. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please be seated. Now, I'd like to call on Dennis, but I guess he's not here. So I'm calling on Cynthia to do our announcements for today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, Dennis couldn't be with us this morning, so I'm it. Okay. Anyway, thank you to Reverend Blayne, Reverend Soul, Annette for MC, Alan for greeter, Cookie for Kansho, Joy for the pianist, Ryan, our IT tech, and also Everly and Jet for offering of flowers. Today is the last day for our fall food drive. So thank you everyone who made generous donations for this worthy cause. We're going to be delivering it next week to the food bank. Next Sunday will be our monthly remembrance service. So if you would like to remember a loved one who passed away during the month of November of any year, you may do so during the remembrance service. Please add the name of your loved one to the list at the greeter's desk. If you have a picture of your loved one, please bring it to the service. Reverend Soul will be leading the service and provide a Dharma message. Our annual general membership meeting will be held at the temple on Sunday, December 15th, immediately following the Sunday service. We will be confirming the officers and directors for the 25 to 26 term, 2025-2026 term, followed by the installation of the officers and directors. Following the meeting, we'll have a luncheon at the new Mui Kwai restaurant here in Kailua. And we do need a count for the lunch, so please fill in the sign-up sheet that's on the back table. Today is Temple Cleanup Day after refreshments. So if you are able to stay, please help us with the cleanup. Are there any other announcements? Okay, if not, we will do the words of thanksgiving, which can be found on page 126 or on, it's on the screen. So we will repeat it now. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namo Amida Butsu. Itadakimasu. Thank you.